Hello, everyone, and welcome to the EmpowHer Journey for those who want it all. So, we are the community to support your self growth and live by your own rules. And today I have the pleasure to welcome Melissa. Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
Hi, it's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. So,
Oh,
unfortunately, Yana can't be with us today, but we'll have an amazing, amazing time. And I'm really, really excited for you to meet Melissa.
you.
Mm. So, so the theme of the month is why failing is the best and tips to be a phoenix. And really excited to hear from Melissa here and all her experience. So your full name is Melissa Wright-Khan, and your mindset and manifestation coach, and she runs the amazing business Leaders of the Heart. So, Melissa, can you tell us more about yourself and your empowerment journey?
Yes, sure. So my empowerment journey started, well, many, many moons ago, but I would say I was really thrust into it after I had a near-death bicycle accident. That was back in 2012,
Wow.
and it changed my life for the better in the end. It was tough while I was in it. So I nearly died being thrown up onto the bonnet of a car and landing on the road with the wheel just here. Now, physically, there were some issues, but nothing too major. I didn't have massive broken bones. I did have quite a bit of internal bruising, which was almost worse in a sense because people couldn't see anything was broken, but
Mm,
there were deep, deep internal bruises. However, the biggest thing was really the fragmentation of my
mm,
being. I
mm,
just felt my whole inner world had exploded, and it was to such a degree that I almost felt like I wanted to go and leave flowers for almost like a loss of a part of my soul or something like
mm,
that. I didn't
mm,
quite understand at the roadside of where the accident had been. I had maybe 5, 6, 7 years of a repetitive dream where I can only describe it as though my soul had been taken out of me, and I'd wake up with this profound sense of loss that was really quite terrifying. And I didn't wake up and go, oh, that was just a dream. I would wake up and be like paralyzed with fear. It was terrifying. But the joy of it is that I had to go within. I had to do this deep dive into myself and literally piece myself back together,
mm,
belief by belief by belief. And I remember the day that I chose to believe that I was fun, because fun is a big value of mine, but I couldn't quite remember who I was, and I wanted to basically, rebirth myself. I had to rebirth myself,
mm,
and I saw these amazing shoes in this shop, just full of color and fun, and I thought, I saw them, and instantly I knew I'm going to buy those shoes as a symbol to reintroduce the belief that I am fun again. And so this was practically about a year at home, piecing my mental, spiritual, emotional well-being back together.
mm,
And it was some time after that, and I started my journey. It was the same time as starting my journey as being a coach. So
mhm,
I had done already some training, but this year was the deepening of the training. And so I had to have my own coach, and I was trying to do some studying, trying with my coach, and doing this deep, deep dive. And after this year, and I returned to my university job, I was starting my coaching practice, but I realized I was living a lie, and I was trying to help people live their best life. But I felt I wasn't really living my best life. I'd put myself back together, but I didn't feel really fulfilled. I didn't feel that I was really living my purpose. And I felt, I've got this business, but I feel like somehow I need to bring more of who I am. There's something else, there's something more, and I don't know what that is. And I could feel this pull to India. And I kept trying to ignore it for a bit, and I just couldn't. I couldn't ignore it. And I knew that being authentic is one of my biggest values. And I couldn't help others when I knew I had to really do more to help myself. And so eventually I sold everything, I left everything, and I got this one-way ticket to India. And there was no agenda, there was no tick list, there was no, everyone was like, what are you going to go and see then, where are you going to go? It wasn't that. I just knew the values I wanted to honor in myself, and I just wanted to be guided purely by the divine. That was the journey. And I would pray and offer up my intentions, and just guide me, just use me, just show me, guide my feet, guide my hands, guide my thoughts, guide my eyes, just guide me to where I need to be. And that was the journey. That was literally the whole point of the journey. So yes, and then I got to India. I deepened my healing journey there. It was a continuation of that deep dive into self. And there I got the download for leaders of the heart. Your business is leaders of the heart. And I thought, what? I'm not a leader. What's this? I can't own that name. I was the sunshine doctor before. And this leaders of the heart took me years to own. I did adopt it, but I've been growing into it since then. And this was back 2014, 2015. I then met my soulmate, and we started a hotel that became an award-winning hotel. That now this hotel has become a 19-bed hotel, and now we're buying land and making our own. And it's all been this incredible journey of just this whole other new life, but also a returning back to what was. And I found a way to integrate all these new parts of myself and new careers, and I became a serial entrepreneur. So suddenly I had my coaching business, I had the hotel business. Recently I've become a property investor, and these have all really been these amazing manifestations. And then also finding a way to integrate the academic career and come back to that part of me, which has been a huge part of my life for the last 25 years, and seeing that you can integrate your passions, you can find a way of putting your arms around all of that which you love, and also that trust that we can be guided. And if we allow ourselves to trust, to really trust, then we can find paths that we could barely even begin to comprehend that we even wanted to go down, until we really surrender to that.
Thank you so much for this. You've taken us on this beautiful journey with us by telling your story and some of it, and I've just been transported. So thank you for that. And one of the keywords I got is one of the words you used to start your story. And somehow I think there's an echo at the end of what you just said. You were talking about feeling fragmented, as a consequence from the accident, and just now talking about how you integrated all these different activities. That and that resonates with me as well. Like sometimes we feel like there's part of us, like we're fragmented, and there is some work to do to reintegrate, to make sense, to realize how actually it's all connected and how it fits exactly like perfect pieces of puzzles. So that's really a beautiful image that I'm getting from what you just shared.
Yeah, I think there's always a beautiful cycle. Sometimes I think we feel that the process has to be this linear forwards, like on a racetrack, but actually, you know, even in my research, you know, when I did my undergraduate degree, I adored sociology, and as an A-level student, it was like my biggest passion. And then I kind of let it go as I went down the academic route. And then as I did a PhD, sociology came back in my life. It became the methodology I used in my linguistics was from sociology, and I had a supervisor in sociology, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in the sociology department again. I was so lit up. But I could never have imagined that, you know, 9 years down the line, I'd suddenly be integrating that part back in, which felt like I'd left that donkey's years before. So, you know, it's just another small example of how it's a cyclical, I think these cyclical things in life that just seem to come round, and they just, yeah, if we put our arms around all of those and stay open, that nothing needs to be disregarded or outgrown almost. They can all come in their own way, and in the future in some other kind of form.
Yes, yes, and I love the fact as well, what you mentioned on sometimes as well, maybe our mind will not be able to grasp it, you know, maybe we'll understand in the future, and maybe we won't. And there's this importance to, as you were saying, to surrendering, to trusting something higher. Like I can imagine maybe as well when you've experienced initially just after the accident, maybe you're not able to see what gift and opportunity will bring to you overall. And these type of moments can be very challenging, and yet, you know, everything that you've done after that, I mean, it's amazing, absolutely amazing journey.
Well, I really believe, and thinking of, you know, the Phoenix theme for this session today, it's, you can view challenges as, you can either be victim energy and think, oh, these terrible things happened to me and poor me, and, you know, nobody understands, and this kind of thing. Or you can look at it as learning, and you can look at it as an experience to grow from and to learn from. And yeah, I'm all about taking the learnings out of things. And as hard as some stuff may be, I truly believe that these are soul gifts, soul journeys that we can grow from and evolve from. And then, you know, as coaches, healers, we can help others with, if we have lived through whatever we've lived through. But it's about that perspective, about how you view your trials and tribulations, and allowing yourself to rise up, giving yourself permission to take the learning and rise from that, and not being afraid to do that.
Cool. Oh, amazing. I love that. So would you mind telling us a little bit more about the Leaders of the Heart? So I love how you got that name delivered to you. So it's been a while now. So how has it evolved, and what do you do now? How do you help people?
Yeah. So I believe in living from the heart and leading from the heart. And to me, that's very much about tuning into our intuition and tuning into the divine ultimately. So that is what I was doing when I was given the download, where I surrendered to the divine and took the trip to India, and you know, ever since, I mean, and before then too, I have just lived that path of trying to live in alignment with my soul calling, which I believe is the divine gifts that we are given. And that's the thrust of Leaders of the Heart. It's about helping others through what I've been through too. I'm ever evolving in this myself, as you know, always coming into greater connection with my soul calling, because I believe ultimately that's what we're here to do. We're here to live our soul's journey, whatever that is. And I think that is the thrust of Leaders of the Heart, is about being open to truly embracing that soul journey, and it taking us down paths that we least expect sometimes, but trusting, as we said, that this is all part of that journey, and taking the learning from that. So yeah, leaders of the heart. And I've come to see now that everybody is a leader. It's
Mm-hmm.
about how we choose to lead our life, because we all
Mm-hmm.
have a life. We all have a life, and we lead it in whichever way we choose. And my thing, and the people, my tribe, the people I connect with in the business and in my wider world, are those who believe in that divinely guided life. And so yeah, that's what it's all about.
Mm. It's an amazing thing, isn't it? This seems to be, and maybe you can give us maybe a bit more commenting on that, like a coordination between. So there's this higher divinity, the divine that has a power that help us find our way, and there's a leader as well in us. So there's like these coordination, or maybe those two. Would it be an entity of power, or how would you describe it?
Well, I believe inside of us there's two. There's like the human form leader of us,
Okay.
and I believe there's the higher self leader of us.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
my work is around trying to close that gap between
Right.
the human leader, which can be, holding back and feeling afraid. Who am I to do that? And all those limiting beliefs that we can get in our human physical form.
Yeah.
That trying to close the gap actually with that higher self leader, which is that the divine in us, to being all that you were born to be, without the holding back, truly expressing that your divinity or your soul purpose or whatever you want to call it. So I think it's very much about trying to raise up to more that we were born to be. Yeah.
Lovely. And it sounds really like an union or reunion, maybe, of while it's very spiritual, isn't it? Like realizing that there isn't a separation, and finding this connection and strengthening this connection.
Absolutely. And it's the notion of the future self, who are we stepping into? It's like, well, we are already that. It's that everything already exists within us, and is in our energy field, and it's just us giving ourselves permission and allowing ourselves to be that. I love the phrase, the unlearning, unlearning the blocks that we put on ourselves, or the barriers that, growing up, whatever baggage we took on, and very much allowing that to shift from us.
Amazing. And what I love as well about your work and the conversations that we have had so far together is that how you've been walking the talk, and you've described that really nicely, I think, as well in your presentation so far, is that it's something you've been through, and it's of course an ongoing journey. But I love that you're that, you can be a model of leading from the heart, and that thing makes all the difference.
Yes, yeah. I think you have to embody what you believe and what you teach, and again, it comes back to that, the mode of authenticity. It's taken me some time to catch up with that in myself, because I had to do all the work of removing my own blocks, if you like, or rising up to that challenge. And I think, as we were talking about before, one of the worst and most incredible experiences of my life was surviving the earthquake. And that was not long, around the same time actually, or shortly, like I'm talking a month maybe after getting this download of the leader of the hearts. There was the earthquake, and then there was the moment where I went to the crumbled tower to try to rescue people, because we were in the middle of Kathmandu when the earthquake started, and everything around us was collapsing and collapsed. Basically, at the end of our street, the #1 hotel in the Lonely Planet was to the ground, with everybody gone. And you felt powerless. It was also terrifying. The earthquake itself went on for 3 minutes and 51 seconds. And after that, the aftershocks were just like additional earthquakes. They were really long. And nobody had anything. Nobody, of course, knew what to do. The Nepali authorities had nothing. There was just chaos. And it took some days for the flights to come in, to have the dogs and the, you know, the rescue teams, and everybody was basically on their own. And I decided that I was going to go to the main Durbar Square with the old, where all the old, really old monuments were, which was about a 15-20 minute walk from where we were, and see if I could do anything, because I'd heard that it was just collapsed, everything was to the ground. And there was this mountain of rubble with what we'd seen just the day before, with this 50-meter tower, you know, a giant tower, and you could queue and go up it and look from the top, and it was just straight to the ground, and there were lots of people basically under the rubble, but nobody was doing anything. Nobody had anything to do anything with, and it was horrendous, because you were so powerless. Like, what can we do? I remember seeing one policeman with like a tiny shovel, basically. I remember almost getting quite angry, saying I'd take more than to the beach. With, you know, I'd take more than that to the bloody beach. Like, where's the stuff? And it's like, we don't have anything, madam. And so that was when I had this sort of rising up as a leader experience in this very extreme way, because of course I don't know how to rescue people. I don't even know if they could be rescued, but I just couldn't stand by in a passive way. I knew that I had to try and do something. And they were saying, we don't have anything, we don't have anything. And at that moment is when I just put my hands up and said, who here has hands? And, you know, people just looked at me like I was off my head, you know, initially. And I said it again. And as I stood there with my hands up, slowly some people in the crowd started to understand what I was meaning and engage. And a small crowd then came and gathered with me. And I did this sort of dramatic, like, we will try our best. And there were people around me saying, there's no, you know, we're only looking now. No one's alive. This is just dead bodies. And I said, I don't care. I'm going to try my best. And that's what we did, a small team of us, because you never know. You see things on the news when you're growing up about tragedies, and sometimes they find people, and trying was better than doing nothing. So that's what we did. We started, each piece was about sort of this big, and just moving the rubble one piece by one piece by one piece. And it was nighttime, it was pitch black, but we were just moving this rubble, and everywhere strewn were practically thousands and thousands of flip-flops. That was one of the lasting memories of there were just flip-flops everywhere. And sometimes you go, oh, what's it? And it was a flip-flop, but there was nothing else, you know. And eventually we stopped and we saw, we didn't rescue anybody, but my conscience was clean, and my heart was, in a sense, calm, that I knew I had tried my best. I knew I didn't just stand there saying, there's nothing we can do. I thought, I don't know what I'm doing, but I will use what I've got, and I will rise up, and I will lead myself and anyone who will join me in the best way that I know possible to try and make a difference. And I'm going to do what I feel called to do. And it was a life-changing moment for me, you know, even though it wasn't the outcome we wanted. Internally, I had made that shift to holding back, that I'm not ready, I don't know what I'm doing, to, yeah, I can actually rise up and follow my heart and lead with my heart, and do what I feel is right in this moment, regardless of the outcome.
Very inspiring.
And it's funny to talk about it today, because it's actually 7 years ago today.
To the day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the 25th of April 2015.
That's special.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seven is a lucky number as well.
And there were lots of other learnings from that earthquake. There were so many learnings. But I'd say the most profound one was on the on that tower.
I love that, because I love how you describe this energy that's, you know, rising from this intention, from this shift in attitude or something like that, that really change and creates a possibility, a potential of allowing things to happen. So for me, it's very very creative sort of energy, a high creating vibration.
Yeah.
And yes, as you said, I really believe that we never have sort of a pressure of results. You know, it's never what we're up to, but doing our best. You know, having an it's we could say maybe an obligation of means. You know, of doing what we can and believing in our potential is I think, first of all, is the and you tell me what you think, but is the most pleasant energy to be in.
Yeah.
So that's what is going to make you feel better, happier, more fulfilled, and also is the best possible energy to create greater potential. And it might not happen, but you're giving yourself the best chances for that and for others.
Yeah, I think we all know how it is to have something on the heart and not follow through. And it's actually noticing, no, I have got this on my heart, and I'm going to push forwards with this regardless, because if it's on my heart, it's for me, and I'm going to birth it and let it do whatever it is, you know.
Yeah, it's very creative, giving life. Yes, that's a great way to describe it. Yeah,
giving life, that's right.
Giving life, and in a way, in what you're describing about leadership. And I think maybe it's a word that we hear a lot, don't we, at this day and age, leadership, and but I think you're giving it a very different context and a very different meaning and force to it, which has this very creative dimension for me, in the sense of giving life to what's in your heart. So it's amazing.
And it's that merge of, so, you know, the merge of creativity and divinity, which are very much one and the same for me, you know, that creative divine energy and potential. And it's that is that leaders of the heart, that you are divinely connected, divinely guided, just in that creative heart-led calling, you know, from the small things to the magnificent things. So from you know, birthing the calling of your heart in your business, standing on top of a tower in the earthquake, to just the everyday of all of that matters. And if we don't live in that way, that's when people feel suffocated, they feel trapped, they feel anxious, they feel trapped in a life that isn't right. And I experienced that before I set off to India. I experienced that like soul destroying feeling where you just feel I'm stuck in a life that isn't right. It's you know, even though I circle back to pick up my job again at the university, and from the outside looking like I was actually living a very similar life again. Of course, I had my business then and I'd integrated other things, but it's those internal shifts are what count. And we know from our own navigation system how that barometer is for us, if we are stagnating and going down a downward spiral, or if we are living the truth, and as you say, allowing that heart flow to feel free and feel like we're being true to ourselves, and that we're, you know, allowing ourselves to show up authentically. And that's what it's really all about as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. I'd like to talk more about the theme of being a phoenix now, and you know, your amazing experiences. Of course, well, you mentioned already twice that you were in high danger, and you could have died twice. That maybe there's maybe there's more. And what would you be sharing about, you know, how to rise again, and how to what would be the secrets to being a phoenix?
Secrets to being a phoenix. Yeah, I think it circles back to what we were talking about at the beginning around looking for the learning in the journey and seeing how can I, you've got two choices. You can sink or you can swim and rise, and not just swim, but get on the water ski and go off in the, you can run with it in a great way. And that's not to diminish the, the emotions which are hard around that. I think it's really important to be real about that, because I know there's an over focus on, brush it under the carpet. And I used to do that as a child. I never let myself cry. I was in the position of being the strong one, and I was the one that never, ever, ever cried. And my mum and my sister were sobbing at, movies and all this. And I really wanted to cry. And my cheeks would fizz with the feeling of the wanting to cry, but I would hold it in because I wanted to be strong.
Right.
And only, not that many years ago, that I really, probably around the whole accident time, that I started to actually go within and go within and go within and go, do you know what? Out of the accident, what happened for me was that I became okay with not being okay. That was one of the biggest learnings of the accident. So although eventually there was all this great stuff, when I was amid it, I owned my pain and I shared my pain. And eventually, because I had a period where I found it very hard to go out the house, and I'd never been the one that didn't know what to say and felt awkward in a social environment. And I remember one time I was so flustered when I arrived at a bar that I squished through these tables that were too close together and just sent all the drinks flying. And I got to the bar and I just was crying. I had to go home. I didn't know what to do with myself. And I'd never been that person. And then I'd always been the life and soul of the party. People used to say to me, oh, if you're not at the party, it's not the same, you've got to be there. And I realized although I love the party and that sort of is who I am, I was also in a role of that, and I was often wearing a mask. And the accident enabled me to take off all of my masks. And I lost some friendships where I'd turn up and I'd say, hey, how are you? And I'd say, I'm not great actually at the minute. No one could handle it, so and people then started, the friends that weren't true friends would start to disappear. But I could see what was happening, and it was beautiful for me, because again it was that real sinking into the authentic self. And I'd always lived in the, I'm naturally high energy and fun and all of that, but I was just always in the high energy and the dancing in the top of the rainbow. In fact, my first business was called Dance in the Rainbow Coaching. I had a few names. But the accident taught me to also dance or be with the lower end of the rainbow and get that full spectrum, because I'd always hidden from that. I'd always shied away from it and held it back, and, this positivity. But I went to the dark, and I went to the shadow. And I think the phoenix is rising up in joy and triumph, but it's also rising up in pain and sadness and being okay with all of that. Again, it's that putting your arms around all of it and being present with all of it. And it's like, hey, I'm unmasked and I've got all these parts of myself, but this is what makes me triumphant, that I'm owning it all. I'm happy and I'm also sad. I'm having a fantastic time and I'm also grieving. But I'm all of these things because I am living this true human or experience, and that is a leader of the heart, that I am everything all at the same time, and that's okay.
I'm having a moment here. No, I completely agree, because that's why the figure or the analogy of the phoenix works so well, because I completely agree. It really integrates, you know, with the ashes, the dark side of thing, and the beauty of maybe the purification as well of the fire, and how you, what comes out of it is your authentic self, and something that, again, maybe going back to the idea of fragmentation, something that's beyond this fragmentation, really integrating, and that is just so crucial. I love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I've never sort of said those things before, so thank you. It's been really nice to, I kind of work out things as I speak, and that's been a joy to put all of that together in that way. So yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, very, 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 very powerful. Excellent. So we've been also touching on the idea of manifesting, and recently when we had a one-to-one, I called you the queen of manifesting, and I'm really proud to say that again on the podcast. So can you share about that, about your experience with manifesting, what it is and what it has meant to you in your life?
Yes. So for me, manifesting is, again, everything in life to me is really a spiritual endeavor, and it's about aligning ourselves with, again, meeting our higher selves as much as we can, and allowing that which is meant for us to come to us, rather than blocking it with our small-minded, worldly, that's not for me, who am I to? It's like, that's all for me, and I'm welcoming it. And yeah, I've had a real journey with that myself, of, again, really I've been interested in that for 20 years, but really working with it more powerfully since the accident and the move to India, and then really consciously coming into the absolute conscious creation, which is really what manifestation is that divinely inspired conscious creation. And yeah, it's the manifesting queen, thank you. It's been quite the journey, because things, as I say, that sometimes, when you're in that zone, some things I have intentionally decided to manifest, but also by being open and being in that, as Abraham Hicks says, the receptive mode, and being always well, I like to say meticulous about our thoughts. So I'm very open and free and all of that, but I'm very specific about being very meticulous with your thoughts. And sometimes I am, and sometimes I'm not. I'm human too, but the work is around that, being meticulous with your thoughts, because that affects everything. And if we can really start to get that self-belief in what's possible and who we are, and then really allow that belief to expand our visions and expand those parameters of what we believe is possible for us, and expand those horizons, then we can start to embody that feeling of that, feeling great about that. And we're feeling great because it's that cycle, that snowball of the positive self-belief that we've got going, and we're embodying, and then, hey, all this magical stuff starts coming, and magical experiences. So my greatest manifestation to date is definitely the birth of my daughter. She is my manifestation in physical form, that there's no denying. So I was told I wouldn't be able to have children. I'd had 2 miscarriages, and the doctor told me, it's a miracle that you are even getting pregnant. Your numbers are shot. You're basically in the perimenopause. I'd had an ovary removed when I was 30. And yeah, they said, your husband must have super sperm, because I don't know how he's getting you pregnant. And they said, IVF isn't an option, because we're not going to be able to, there's nothing to work with, and you're getting pregnant miraculously, but you're not holding it. So that's it. Like, no can do. But I chose not to believe that story. I'm not going to lie, I did have 24 hours of, in absolute turmoil, like this is too much, I can't bear it, like just this sort of intense grief and anger. And then I was the phoenix and was like, no, I am shifting focus. I'm not going to buy into that story. This is possible for me and it is going to happen. And I set vision possible. I absolutely have this thing of vision possible. I learned that phrase when I did, I never did one in the end because I had the accident, but I joined in with some triathlon training. And they talked about, you know, they were doing Ironman, like really intense stuff. And they're like, vision possible, set your vision possible. And so I've always carried that with me. And that was what I did with Jemima. So I started painting pregnant people. I started imagining she was here. So embodying that vision right now. Like I didn't tell anybody, but I'd sort of talk to her as if she was in the room, and I'd dance around like as if I was frolicking with her, sort of playing. And I bought a bauble for the Christmas tree. So I bought M for my initial and C for my husband's initial. And then I bought a B for baby. And that was on the Christmas tree, the Christmas before she arrived, actually. That was the last Christmas without her. So I just paved the way. I paved the way, and it was quite a journey. And just before I got pregnant, I knew I was burning out in my business, basically, and I felt stretched thinly. And I also started to realize that I had everything on hold, because in case I got pregnant, I better not sign up to that triathlon, because if I get pregnant, I won't be able to do it. And I just did things like that in my life. Oh, I better not do that. No, because if I am pregnant, I won't want to do that. And I realized I had life sort of paused. And I thought, this is no good. I'm not fully enjoying my life. I'm not fully living my life. I'm holding in the sidelines because of what, you know, might come in the future. So that was it. I paused the business and I told my clients, I need to just draw in, and I know I need to focus on myself. And I signed up to everything that I had on hold, and I thought I can just cancel it if I need to, but I'm not holding back anymore. I'm going to live a full life. I signed up for yoga training, decided to become a yoga teacher. I signed up for everything. And 2 weeks later, I was pregnant. And so part of the thing for me with the manifesting and life in general, I always say, follow your joy, follow your joy, follow your joy, because that's it. When you really rise up your energy, and you don't have to always do that conscious, oh, I want that, and I'm going to really buy into believing that that's coming. It's actually so much simpler. Just follow your joy, just follow anything that makes you feel great, because that's going to rise up your energy anyway. And all that good stuff is just going to come naturally anyway then. So it doesn't have to be, I think people can get so heady about it, and that's just going to lower the energy. So yes, Jemima was the best one, but there's been loads and loads. And the miraculous house recently. So it's just about a year to the day that we moved into this house as well. And this house we saw 4 years ago and let it go, and then had almost a regret, though I don't believe in regrets, but it was this sense of, oh, that house, perhaps we should have bought it, and wasn't it great? And we kept talking about it, and it was just in my energy field, could feel it, and my husband's, and we kept saying, let it go. No, but it's here. It's like, okay, if it's meant for us, somehow it'll come back to us. But, you know, we've bought this other place now, and let's just, you know, run with that. And anyway, a year ago, we were in lockdown, and we went to the garden centre, and we met the lady who owns this house, the house that got away. We got talking to her because Jemima kept giving her flowers, which was a miracle, because it was at the time, you know, nobody wanted to even be in the same space as anybody else. But we got chatting. She said we were thinking of getting another place, and she said, oh, I'm selling mine. Do you want to come and have a look, because I need to do a quick sale? And where is the house? It's the house that got away. What? She come up overnight from Devon and was putting it on the market. The estate agents were coming the next day, and when I went home and I looked up what's this house, it was the house. So we did a private sale, and we've been here now about a year. And that was a beautiful one, because I wasn't actively manifesting this house. We had seen it, we had a love for it, and I knew it was in our it was with us. But I myself hadn't imagined that it would come back to be sold. And in fact, the lady told us that the time when we decided not to buy it, she also chose not to sell. She said, I don't know why, but it didn't feel right, and I didn't sell it. And so it's that trust, and that's what carries me through all of the manifestations, is that, again, the divine trust, divine guidance, divine timing, that if that is right for us, it is ours, and nobody can take that away from us. And somehow it will come back. And that was the belief, that was the sense. But it did to be honest, it blew my mind when this happened, and it really helped instill that belief that, gosh, sometimes when we're not actively doing the work and we think, oh no, I'm not really doing what I should be. You know, before I had my daughter, I'd be up 6 o'clock doing my miracle morning and really doing the work, and now less so. I just haven't got the capacity in the day. And so that was a nice reminder that actually, even though I'm not doing the active work as much as I used to, you're still in the miracle zone because of that inherent focus and belief of how your heart is and your mind is around the magic of the universe. And it's that carries you through. And I think that's really important, because I know myself, I've thought, oh dear, you can start to berate yourself and feel like you're not in the zone, and so you're not going to get those miracles. And it's not the case. It's just keeping that open trust that actually it's a perspective, it's a belief, it's a trust.
Yeah.
And that was a perfect reminder. It's like, wow.
Yeah, it's incredible. And as well, I think I love the fact that, you know, I think it is also a great guidance in terms of not forcing, you know, not pushing against, you know, like not swimming the other side of the current, or that sort of things. That can feel as well uncomfortable. No, I want this is it, and I'm feeling terrible. No, the point is, as you said, the high energy, the high vibration is going to bring you whatever potential is right for you, whatever, you know, the universe has got your back.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's also not being afraid of those, like we were saying about the unmasked and the lower emotion, if you like, or the lower energy. But, you know, I think people worry, oh, if I'm sad, then I'm not going to manifest. And then they do that. No, I'm going to be happy. And you get to that artificial, you know, and then you're out of alignment, and that's when you've got the problems then. So it is about being real. You know, I certainly wasn't happy the whole entire time that the house manifested, you know, the 3 or 4 year lag that it was. There was all sorts of emotions amid that time. And it doesn't matter if you haven't got, you know, that perfect happy energy all the time. It's not about that. It's about, I think, the focus of your heart, the light beam that you put out as your own sort of lighthouse in the world. That you've either got that trust in the divine and you're walking that path, or you're, oh no, I'm not supported, poor me, I always get the bad end of the stick. You know, and we all know people that live in that energy.
Yes. And I think your story really illustrates that as well, because we can really imagine your daughter playing with the flowers and you being smiley and, you know, being open, and that creating that conversation just by, you know, being just radiant being on that moment. And that's not fake, you know, that's who you were at any time, any point. And that, as well as everything else, has brought that to you, hasn't it? So I think that's a really good life lesson in that regards.
Yeah. And it's wonderful. When we were trying to name Jemima, it took us many weeks, and eventually I thought, okay, it's Jemima Rose, and I sort of put it out to the universe. And that day, it was an Easter Saturday, I think it was really hot, and went with family down to a beautiful beach on the south coast. And I'd sort of put out that intention that kind of get some kind of validation, because the naming had been a huge sort of task. I felt like a really, like, sort of big job to do. You felt really, well, for me, it really was. There was a lot of searching and soul searching about it. Anyway, this day out, next thing we stumble across a rock that's all beautifully painted, and it says, "Hello, my name is Jemima." And then we went into a cafe, and this lady comes up. She said, "Oh, are you Indian?" Because my husband who's Indian. "Are you Indian?" And she had all sorts of stories about, I think, her ex-husband or something. I can't quite remember, because the main memory is when she said, "Look, I feel really drawn to you." And Jemima was tiny then, you know, she was about a month old. And she came out, she said, "I just want to give you this." And it was a rose quartz. "Can I give you this rose quartz?" And there is the second name, Jemima Rose. It was amazing. So, okay, call off the search.
Thank you. That was quite clear messages.
Chance again, but that's the beauty, isn't it? When I think it's having that outlook for, wow, where's this next sort of magic going to come from, these unexpected miracles. And that's why now in Leaders of the Heart I talk about this miracle mindset. You know, I've toyed with abundance, and it's like, I think once you go that bit beyond abundance, you get to miracles. And I believe that's what it's really about. Let's not stay at abundance. Abundance is nice, but let's stretch out to miracles. And that's what this is. And I think, you know, miracle mindset, but also that miracle grateful heart, when you can expand that heart of, wow, I'm looking for these, I'm finding these, isn't that incredible? Like this high energy celebration of it. Then you're just in that joyous cycle and that beautiful life. So yeah, miracle mindset is very much resonating for me at the moment.
Yeah, agreed. Queen of Miracles really works too. Yeah, got my approval on that one. 100%.
I'll have to rise up to that one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you already are, truly. Yeah. And so the last thing I want to ask you is, what tips would you give to your younger self? So if you could go back in time, at any time you choose, and to go back to your younger self, what sort of advice would have been useful to you?
So I think it's kind of everything we've covered, really. I think the first is, it's okay to not be okay, and real with your emotions, and that it's not that some emotions are better than others. I think, you know, embrace all of the emotions, because that's what makes you whole. And ultimately that's our search, is to feel whole and not fragmented. I think secondly, to trust in yourself and in the divinity of yourself. And what that means is that you are never alone. I think there were many years that I felt lost, and I felt that I was searching, soul searching for home. Maybe I can live there, maybe I can live there, maybe I can do that, maybe I can be there. Is this my home? You know, it was just this search, but it was this search outside of myself. And so I think the third thing would be that home is in you, and that home is you, and you have everything you need inside of you. It's trusting yourself, it's trusting God, the divine source, whatever you want to call it, and being open to that, you know, there is something bigger and greater than you that's outside, but also I think within you. It's like the God inside of you. And once you really come from that space, then everywhere is home, everywhere is where you need to be, and you feel powerful beyond measure, because you know that you are surrendered to the power, the greatest power in the universe. And that's when life becomes a ride of learning, of magic, of miracle, of the whole spectrum of life. And I think that not not cutting off, like I said, point one, not cutting off the lower negative emotion, that actually let's embrace it all, let's be our divine selves, and let's live with that trust and that faith and that joy and that connection within and outside. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And what we'll do as well, we'll send your younger self this episode. So, there's everything in there. Go, back in time.
So ultimately, the snapshot is the power is in you. And I think for years I searched outside of myself, for that. And actually it's like, no, actually find that God inside of you. And that's the greatest journey, isn't it? The greatest journey is within, to find your own divinity.
Yeah.
That's where the magic is.
Absolutely. And that's definitely as well what we believe in with this whole concept of empowerment. It's inside, and you can for sure, and that's really a message I want to send to everyone listening. You will find your way. Your way will be unique, and there'll be amazing things along the way, along with the journey. That isn't in itself is a gift. So thank you so much, Melissa. There will be all the contacts for people to get in touch with you. So you've got it right, Miracles. That's it doesn't get better than that. So really, you don't hesitate, and you get in touch. Feel free as well to send us an email if you have suggestions or comments or feedback on the EmpowHer Journey at gmail.com. It will be great to hear from you. And yes, thanks again, Melissa. We really enjoyed it.
A joy. Thank you.
Yes, and stay tuned for a new episode coming very soon. Bye, guys.